Have you ever felt that there was something hidden behind the smiles? The sweet whispers of, "I love you," the bouquets handed out on anniversaries? And yet it still wasn't enough to make you believe that this person truly loves you? A vague feeling, like there's a mask being worn, beautiful and dazzling, but beneath it lies another truth. A truth that only reveals itself when two people are alone in their most intimate space, where nothing remains but heart, skin, and breath. Maybe real love doesn't live in what's shown under the spotlight, but in the small and silent moments where the body and soul cannot lie. In that space, a man cannot hide how he truly feels. All the pretending, all the social conditioning, all the armor he wears to face the world falls away. What's left is a raw, trembling, but also deeply beautiful self. When the door closes and the outside world fades into silence, another world opens up. That world is like a mirror reflecting the soul. Every look, every touch, every breath becomes a piece of the most honest picture of a man's love. He could tell you 1,000 times that he loves you, but it's in those moments that you'll know whether he truly means it. Love, in that sense, is not found in grand gestures, but in silence filled with meaning. It's not in vows or promises, but in the moment he unconsciously lets you see who he really island. And in that deepest intimacy, you will find 4 vital signs, 4 doors into the depths of his soul. I will tell you about them. But before we dive into each sign, let me paint the bigger picture for you. True love is never just about physical attraction. It is a meeting of 2 inner worlds. When 2 people touch, it is not just skin meeting skin, but 2 unconscious realms, 2 halves of shadow and light trying to connect. In that moment, something incredibly fragile yet powerful is born truth. That is why, in those private moments, the body often speaks louder than language. Eyes become gateways, hands become whispers, and silence becomes the most sincere confession. When he truly loves you, every tiny detail carries deep emotion. On the other hand, when it's just a fleeting encounter, you will feel the emptiness clearly. Many people deceive themselves, choosing to believe what they want to hear instead of listening to the true signals from the body and behavior. But the body rarely lies. It betrays what the heart is trying to hide. A man can play the role of the perfect lover in the outside world, but when the mask drops, in the dark, he has nowhere left to hide. That is the moment when true love, or the lack of it, reveals itself. Picture this: a quiet room. The light softens, and it's just you and him. In that space, certain things cannot be faked. If he truly loves you, you will see it in the way his eyes do not look away, in how his breath begins to match yours, in how he wants to keep you close even after passion has settled. These are not learned gestures, but the natural overflow of genuine feeling. True love, when experienced on this level, is like a silent ritual. It is not flashy, not extravagant, but holds the power to transform. As Jung once said, the meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Love in those private moments is the same. It either transforms or it leaves emptiness. And then, you will see, there are men who seem to only seek your body but never open the door to their soul. They may be gentle, they may be skillful, but in the end, you still feel the distance. On the other hand, there are men who make you feel as if you are standing before an open doorway, where you are invited to step into their inner world, a world full of both light and shadow. The question is, how can you tell what real love is? How do you distinguish between fleeting desire and deep connection? The answer lies in the subtle signs, the unconscious behaviors, the small gestures that cannot be faked. On this journey, we will explore 4 such signs. 4 ways in which a man, without ever saying it out loud, reveals that he truly loves you enough to bare his soul. The first sign is his gaze. That look is unlike any other. It doesn't skim past, doesn't stop at physical desire. It is deep, steady, as if he's seeing into the part of your soul even you're not sure you're ready to reveal. And in that gaze, he also unveils himself, his longings, his fears, his unhealed wounds. In that moment, you don't just see a man, you see an entire inner world open before you, a world that may terrify you, but could also shake you to your core. And that is where the truth begins. Are you ready to step through that first door? There are moments when words become unnecessary. You lie there, with only a sliver of space between two faces, and he looks at you, not with a passing glance of curiosity, not with eyes heavy with desire, but with a gaze that is deep, slow, patient, as if he is reading the lines etched into your soul. That gaze makes you feel exposed, yet not empty. On the contrary, it makes you tremble and feel seen at the same time. It's like a door opening, inviting you into a world he has never shown to anyone else. In those eyes, you see vulnerability, tenderness, and a rare kind of trust. A man can say he loves you 1,000 times. But if in a private moment he avoids your eyes, those words may not carry much meaning. Because the eyes are where truth resides. They cannot lie. They reflect what he feels, no matter how hard he tries to hide it. There are those who, when intimacy begins, look away, rush forward, avoid eye contact. For them, closeness is only an act. Bodies meet, but souls remain shielded. That is a sign of fear, of a gap yet to be bridged. They hold back part of themselves, afraid to expose it, afraid to show you the shadows inside. But if he truly loves you, if in that vulnerable moment his eyes do not stray from yours, then that is the clearest confession of all. Because to hold a gaze requires courage. Courage to face both the light and the darkness within. Courage to let you see the wounds that haven't healed, the insecurities still alive and well. Those eyes won't just rest on your face. They will see through you, reaching the part of you that you usually keep hidden. Maybe it's the fear of abandonment, the longing to be accepted, or the belief that love can heal. And when that gaze reaches you, you no longer feel alone. There is something strange about it. A gaze like that cannot be sustained without true love. If all he wants is possession, if he is driven only by pleasure, his eyes will soon wander. They simply don't have the strength to stay. But if it is love, his eyes can hold you long enough for you to forget time. And in the silence of that gaze, two souls begin to speak, without needing words. People often say the eyes are the windows to the soul. But in love, they are also the bridge. When two gazes meet and merge, something happens. Like two streams joining to form a new current, there is no longer just you or him, but a quiet blending, a melody that sings without sound. That feeling may sometimes make you want to look away, because it is too real, too intense. But if you are brave enough to stay, you will realize something profound. That gaze is an unspoken promise. It says, I am here, fully, without hiding, without fear. And that is when you know, this love is not shallow. But love does not show itself only through the eyes. Sometimes it is measured by how he places your happiness above his own joy. When he loves deeply, that gaze leads to something more, the act of making you feel safe, happy, whole, even if it means forgetting himself. Because true love has never been a one-sided story. It is harmony. When he looks at you with eyes full of vulnerability and trust, that is only the first door. The next door is the way he listens to your happiness and turns it into his own. And you will see it, not in his words, but in the smallest details. The way he notices your changing breath, the smile that appears suddenly, the patience with which he learns what brings you joy. That is the natural continuation of the gaze, the transformation from me to us. A love like that is no longer a search for personal pleasure, but a soulful exchange. It turns the most fragile moments into a silent ritual where you no longer feel lost, but seen, understood, and cherished. And it is in that quiet act you realize that love has reached far deeper than the eyes can see. There is something mysterious about deep love. It makes people forget the boundary between self and the other. When a man truly loves, your happiness no longer exists outside of him. It becomes his breath, his heartbeat. He smiles when you smile. He exhales softly when he sees peace in your eyes. And in your most intimate moments, he searches for the spark in your gaze, in the way your body responds, more than in any pleasure of his own. A shallow man may see intimacy as just an act to satisfy instinct. But a man who loves deeply is like a gardener. He doesn't cut, doesn't force, doesn't rush. He observes, nurtures, listens to every fragile signal from you. He wants to know what you need, what you long for, what makes your smile bloom like a breeze. And when he finds it, your joy becomes his sweetest reward. In those moments, you realize he is no longer guided by ego or selfish desire. Something soft awakens within him, a hidden feminine part, what Jung called the anima. It whispers to him, "Make her happy, and you too shall find happiness." And he listens. You will see it in every small gesture, in the way he patiently asks what you like, in how he senses your emotions through the subtlest movement, in how he knows when to pause, when to continue, and how to reach the places where you feel truly loved. This is no longer a matter of skill. It is a quiet empathy, an almost instinctive understanding. When he places your joy above his own, you feel not just desired, but honored, cherished. You are not just a body in his arms, but a living world he longs to explore. And you realize that in his eyes, your happiness is the truest measure of love. But for you to believe this, he doesn't need flowery words. You believe it because you feel it. You feel seen through his attentiveness, touched with gentleness, heard with patience. He doesn't need to ask, "Are you happy?" Because the way he is present with you already answers the question. And maybe, hearing this, something inside you stirs. Perhaps you've felt that moment before, when someone made you feel like the center of their world. Or maybe you're still waiting for that kind of love. A love that doesn't just seek your body, but longs to become one with your soul. If this awakens memories, questions, or even longing, allow yourself to share. It could be a comment, a quiet reflection, or a memory you hold dear. Because who knows, your story may be the light another heart is searching for. And if something in what you're hearing brings you comfort, a sense of connection, a flicker of hope, don't hesitate to hold on to it with a like or by following the channel so we can continue this journey together. Sometimes, even the smallest signal from you can spark a deep connection. Back to the story. You'll see that this kind of love is not loud, nor overflowing with promises. It lies in the way he lets you know that your presence matters more than anything else. In his eyes, in his hands, in how he watches your joy, there is a silent exchange. Your happiness is my happiness. And when you feel that, you know love has reached a deeper layer. It is no longer fleeting attraction. It is no longer a game of instinct. It is devotion, a willingness to step beyond the self, to become one. Moments like that leave a lasting imprint on the soul. You might forget a conversation, forget a compliment, but you will never forget what it feels like to be with someone who treats your joy as more important than their own. That becomes a memory etched deep, a warm fire, a place you can return to in your mind whenever life feels cold. A man who only half loves you will never give you that. He will drift off to sleep once he's had what he wants. He won't ask, won't listen, won't care about what lingers within you, because to him, it was just a physical act. But a man who truly loves will be different. He will stay. He will make sure you are smiling, that you have been touched by happiness. And from that, he too will find joy. When love reaches this point, it becomes a shared current. Two people no longer remain separate, but flow together like two rivers merging into one. Your joy flows into him, and his joy becomes yours. And yet, love does not stop there. Because after the joy has passed, after breath returns to its everyday rhythm, there is another moment that reveals the truth of a relationship. It is the silence after the wave, when passion has settled, and only the space between two bodies remains. It is in that moment that you will discover another truth. Does he turn away, or does he stay beside you? And that choice speaks louder than 1,000 words. When the storm has passed, when breath begins to slow, when the room settles into the gentle rhythm of a heartbeat, a new space quietly opens. This space no longer belongs to physical desire, but to a deeper kind of love, fragile, yet real. People often speak of ecstasy, of reaching the peak of passion, but few talk about the moments after the space where the truth of a relationship reveals itself most clearly. It's in this space that you begin to see two kinds of men. One, when passion ends, immediately turns away. He retreats into his own world, leaving behind a cold silence. For him, it's over. The body has been satisfied, and there's no reason to linger. You lie there, still warm from breath, yet feeling like a stranger. In that room, all that remains is emptiness, stretching like a quiet crack in the wall. But there is another kind of man. When everything settles, he doesn't pull away. Instead, he draws closer. He wraps his arms around you as if wanting to keep you in his world just a little longer. He runs his fingers through your hair, plants a soft kiss on your forehead, or whispers something that may not even make sense, yet makes you feel warm inside. He doesn't need to do anything grand. Sometimes he simply lies still, letting you hear his heartbeat, letting you know he is there, fully, with no rush to go anywhere else. That moment, small yet profound, is like a secret door opening within the soul. When the body relaxes and the mind releases control, the truest version of a person emerges. If he holds you close, it is a sign that he is not seeking you only for your body, but longing for a deeper connection, one of heart and soul. The silence in that moment is not empty. On the contrary, it is full of meaning. In the way he holds your hand, in the warmth of his body next to yours, in the quiet eyes that need no explanation, you feel love more clearly than in 1,000 declarations of I love you. It is a language without sound, yet it echoes deep within. A man who truly loves is not afraid of his own vulnerability. He allows you to see the parts of himself that are fragile, the parts he usually hides from the world. He knows that just after the climax is the moment when a person is most exposed, when all walls have fallen, and instead of rebuilding them, he chooses to show you who he really island. That is an act of trust, of surrender. You'll notice it in the smallest things. The way he gently pulls the blanket over you when you shiver. The way he quietly listens as you share a memory or a fear. The way he lets silence pass without trying to fill it, because he knows that silence too has its place. And sometimes, in that silence, you see love more clearly than in any spoken word. On the other hand, if all that's left is a void, the coldness of someone who's turned away, you'll know that what you just experienced was physical, but not love. The difference becomes clear. One leaves behind a tender afterglow. The other leaves only emptiness. These moments after passion are where love is tested. They ask the man, do you have the courage to stay, to expose your tenderness, or will you hide behind distance? And the answer, even if unspoken, becomes undeniable. Perhaps you remember a time when someone held you tight after everything, and you felt safe, like you had returned to childhood, to a place no one else could touch. Or maybe you felt the opposite, lying in silence, wondering if you ever truly mattered to him. That feeling, painful as it may be, is an answer you cannot ignore. What matters most is listening to what your body and heart feel in that moment. Don't just hear the words. Words can be learned, disguised. But how a man treats you after passion that cannot be faked. It is the most honest reflection of love, or its absence. The man who chooses to stay with you, to hold you, to whisper, or simply to be still beside you, is giving you something priceless: safety and vulnerability. He is saying, you can see all of me, and I trust you. That is a rare kind of trust, a bareness, with no disguise. And when you feel that, you know this love is not just a passing spark, but a flame that can warm you for a long time. When love reaches that level, the connection goes beyond the physical. It becomes like two instruments playing the same song, without rehearsal, without planning. That natural rhythm is what leads us to another sign, a more wondrous proof still. It is the invisible dance of two souls. There are moments that feel almost magical. You don't say a word, and he doesn't whisper any cues, yet your bodies begin to move as if guided by an invisible conductor. Your breath gradually matches his. Your heartbeat slows down to the rhythm of his. Even the way his hand reaches for yours, right when you need something to hold on to, feels as though it was always meant to happen. This is not a coincidence. It is a deeper connection, an invisible dance created by two souls moving in harmony. In shallow love, you will easily notice the awkwardness, the lack of rhythm. One person moves forward when the other isn't ready. One rushes while the other needs to slow down. It feels like two instruments playing in different keys, creating dissonance and distance. You might try to adjust to make it work, but the sense of being out of sync lingers, like a silent question in your heart. But when real love is present, everything flows like an ancient melody. Your bodies seem to remember a language that the mind has long forgotten, a language without words or letters, made only of rhythm, repetition, and unity. You and he become two dancers on the same stage, needing no rehearsal, no instructions. It feels like being carried by a current greater than either of you, a collective instinct, an ancient memory flowing through your cells. In this dance, you no longer think of I or you. There is only us. Think back to the times you've hugged someone for a long while. Within seconds, your breaths align. You didn't try. It just happened. That is a simple form of this invisible dance. But when deep love fills the space between you and intimacy, the dance becomes complete, powerful. It wraps around your body, your mind, your soul. A man who truly loves you doesn't have to try to match your rhythm. His body naturally finds it because he is listening to you with every sense. He doesn't lead to dominate, nor follow to please. He simply moves with you in a harmony that no one forces. And you feel as though you're dancing without music, yet the room echoes with something profound. Compare this to moments when love is absent, and the contrast is undeniable. Movements feel mechanical. Gestures lack feeling. One advances, the other retreats. One reaches, the other closes. There is no flow, no unity. Just two bodies trying to act out a script their hearts are not invested in. But when the dance of two souls begins, everything forced and awkward fades. You no longer need to think about what to do next. Everything happens on its own, like two sails catching the same wind, rising and moving together without discussion. That moment gives you a feeling that borders on the sacred, as if an invisible hand is orchestrating this harmony, syncing your energies into one. You don't just feel loved. You feel like you're touching a truth far beyond personal love, a truth about a primal longing for union, for wholeness. A man who truly loves you lets his body become the language of affection. When you need to slow down, he slows with you. When you need a tender touch, his hand softens. When you unconsciously shift your rhythm, his body adjusts without effort. No words, no requests, just presence, just attunement. In moments like these, you no longer feel alone. The world outside may be loud and chaotic, but in that small room, a dance is taking place where you and he are the only ones who exist. A dance with no audience, no stage, but more real than anything beyond those walls. And this is the sign that cannot be faked. The body can learn how to perform, how to pretend. But this unconscious dance only appears when two souls genuinely want to meet. It shows up only when love runs deep and true enough to tear down all barriers. Think back. Have you ever been with someone and suddenly everything felt natural, effortless? A touch, a glance, a shared heartbeat, and it all felt like you had known each other forever, even before meeting. That is when the collective unconscious speaks, reminding us that this union has lived in the memory of humanity for generations. The dance of two souls is not just the synchronization of bodies. It is the alignment of what lies deepest within. In that moment, you realize that love is not only a feeling, it is a return to yourself through another, a return to the wholeness we have always longed for. This is the clearest, most powerful proof that the love you are experiencing is not surface level. It has touched the core. It has gone beyond the body, beyond pleasure. It has become a dance that only truly connected souls are invited into. And then, as you surrender to that dance, you begin to wonder, why is all of this happening? Why does a gaze become a window to the soul? Joy become harmony. The moments after intimacy bring trust. And now, this invisible dance emerges as the final sign. The answer does not lie in coincidence. It lies deep within the human psyche, where love is not merely emotion, but the meeting of what is unconscious in each of us. And it is there, in that hidden place, that we will find the answer. People often think that love is just a feeling, the quickening heartbeat when you see someone, the longing to be close, to touch. But if it stops there, it will fade like a small flame caught in a strong wind. What makes love different, what brings those four signs to life naturally, isn't surface-level attraction. It's something much deeper that unfolds within the human psyche. When a man truly loves, he doesn't just see you with his eyes. He sees you with a part of him that lives beyond awareness, his unconscious. In that deep place, there exists a feminine image that has always been with him, an inner archetype shaped by childhood memories, by the image of his mother, by stories, culture, and everything his soul has absorbed. And when he meets you, he feels something familiar, even if he cannot explain why. That's why there are moments when you meet someone and feel like you've known them forever, not because of how they look or act, but because they touch something buried within you. Love, in this sense, is not just a choice. It is a meeting between two hidden worlds. When a man truly loves, he is experiencing what psychologists call projection. The feminine part within him, hidden and waiting, finds resonance in you. Because of this, He no longer sees you as something outside of himself, but as a piece of his wholeness. He looks at you, but in that gaze, he also sees himself. But love is not only made of light, because when true closeness happens, it doesn't just reveal the beautiful parts, it brings forth the shadows too. And by shadow, we don't mean something evil, but the parts of himself he has denied. Selfishness, fear of being hurt, feelings of inadequacy, wounds that haven't healed. In the most intimate moments, when the masks fall away, these shadows come to the surface. Some people run from that. They don't want to show their fragile, imperfect side. They turn away, hide, rebuild their walls. But others choose to stay, to face themselves, to let you see both the light and the dark, to let love become a path of healing, not just a fleeting pleasure. That is what deep love truly island. It does not avoid the darkness, but learns to speak with it. When a man truly loves, he is willing to let you see his cracks, and just as ready to witness the darkness in you. He doesn't leave when you cry, doesn't shut down when you're angry, doesn't pull away when you're unsure. He understands that love isn't only about the light, but also about walking together through the dark. And here is where those 4 signs take on deeper meaning. The gaze is no longer just a gaze. It is the courage to say, I'm willing to show you all of me, the bright and the broken. Joy is no longer just care. It is proof that he has set aside his ego to truly listen and move in sync with you. The moment after intimacy is no longer just tenderness. It is the breaking of walls, the decision to remain in vulnerability rather than flee. The invisible dance is no longer just physical harmony. It is a resonance between 2 unconscious minds, as if both have found their way home. When all of this happens, love is no longer a fleeting emotion. It becomes a journey of transformation. He is no longer who he once was, and you are no longer who you were. Each meeting, each moment of closeness, becomes a step on the path of growth. And that path has a name: the journey of becoming your true self. True love demands that we face ourselves more than any other relationship ever could. It is a mirror that reflects all the parts you want to hide. It shows you how selfish, how fragile, how wounded you might still be. But at the same time, it gives you the chance to heal, to become stronger, to grow. A man who truly loves is not perfect. He is someone who accepts that he has shadows and still chooses to stay, to love, to walk beside you. And in doing so, he slowly becomes a more complete version of himself. The same is true for you. Real love asks you to look within as well. You are not just the one being loved, but also the one learning how to love, learning to accept his darkness, learning to listen, learning to be patient. And when both people commit to that journey, love is no longer about 2 separate individuals. It becomes the path to wholeness. This is why those small signs of intimacy carry such weight. They don't just show how much he loves you. They show whether he is ready to grow with you. True love doesn't end at sweetness. It is the process of change, little by little becoming better versions of yourselves. And if you've ever asked, why does the body speak louder than words? Why can a gaze, a touch, a shared breath feel so profound? The answer is here. Because in those moments, the unconscious speaks, and the unconscious cannot lie. When a man truly loves you, his body, his eyes, his heartbeat, every small action becomes a message. A message that says, I am not just here for you. I am here to walk with you on a journey, one that won't be easy, but one that is worth it. And perhaps it is this transformation that is the most beautiful proof of love. Some love stories flare brightly, then quickly fade, leaving behind a trace of sweetness or a few unforgettable scars. But there are also loves that arrive quietly, step by step, sinking deeper into the soul, transforming both people from within. That is the kind of love the 4 signs we've explored don't just hint at, they confirm. Real love does not live in the glamorous or the grand. It lives in the truth that gently reveals itself during the most vulnerable moments. Think back to the gaze. It was never just a look, but a mirror reflecting the soul, a doorway into his inner world. In his eyes, you saw longing, fear, and wounds yet to heal. And when he didn't look away, when he let you see it all, that was the truest confession: I trust you enough to show you who I really am. Then there's the way he cares for your joy. This man doesn't treat you as a reward for effort. He sees you as a garden he wants to tend to with patience and care. Your happiness is no longer something outside of him. It becomes the very thing that nourishes his heart. Love, then, is no longer about possession. It becomes devotion. And in the quiet moments after passion fades, he chooses to stay. He doesn't turn his back. He doesn't shut down. He doesn't build walls. Instead, he holds you, listens, whispers, or simply lies in silence. And that silence says more than 1,000 words. It says, I am not afraid of vulnerability. I'm letting you see the real me. Finally, the invisible dance, the rhythm of two souls. When the body becomes language, when heartbeat, breath, and gestures move in sync, as if the two of you had rehearsed this long before you ever met. In that moment, you don't just feel loved, you feel whole, like you found a missing piece of yourself. Put these signs together, and a clear picture emerges. This isn't just physical love, it's soul-level connection. And if you're sensitive enough to notice, these signs will show you where you truly stand in his heart. But more importantly, they reveal whether this love has the power to transform both of you. Because true love is not a place to hide from your shadows. It is where you learn to face them and begin to heal. A man who loves deeply will not only see the beauty in you, he'll be willing to touch the parts of you that are fragile, wounded, uncertain, and he will let you do the same for him. When two people enter that journey together, love becomes a path of growth. It is not always easy. There will be moments of exhaustion, doubt, and the urge to let go. But if both choose to stay, to face it, to walk hand in hand through the dark, that love will take you somewhere you've never been before, a place of wholeness. Perhaps by now, you've realized something. True love is not just about being happy. It is about becoming your truest self, the fullest, most honest, and strongest version of you. Because only through love do we dare to face the parts of us we once denied. Only through love do we find the courage to heal. And only through love do we truly see that we're not alone on this journey. The man who truly dares to love you with his gaze, with his care, with his presence in fragile moments, with the silent dance of his soul, is the one walking this path with you. And so are you. Because love has never been a one-person story. It is always a shared journey. So when you find yourself lying in someone's arms, when all the masks have fallen, listen to the quiet signs. Look into his eyes. Feel his breath. Notice the tenderness in the stillness. Let your body lead you through the invisible dance. These signs will never lie to you, because as someone once said, the body never lies. If you feel that deep connection, if you sense that love, not just in words but in the small, honest moments, then you already know you are stepping into something real. A love that can change you, change him, and change the entire path you walk together. And maybe the greatest gift love gives isn't just happiness. It is growth. Growth to face the darkness. Growth to become more compassionate. Growth to understand that love isn't perfect, but its imperfection is what makes it real. When all of this comes together, you'll understand. Love is not just a feeling. It is the harmony of two souls. It is the call of the unconscious. It is the journey where light and shadow exist side by side. And most importantly, it is a choice, the choice to stay, to trust, to walk forward together. If you can recognize and believe in these signs, you won't need to wonder, does he truly love me? Because you will have heard the answer from the deepest place, the place where neither body nor soul knows how to lie. True love is not a promise of forever. It is the presence in each moment, the courage to be seen, and the gentleness to hold both the beauty and the brokenness. And if you find that kind of love, know that you are holding something rare and precious. Don't be afraid of vulnerability. Don't fear the darkness. Because within those things, love finds its true form. And maybe, just maybe, from there you'll see that love isn't meant to fill an emptiness. It is meant to create a new space, where two souls can become more whole than ever before. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this story. If this message touched your heart, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss the next journey we take together. Your support means the world to me.